only men, of course. Like I haven't seen a single woman talking shit about this experience. Obviously, women get it. They're like, oh yeah, I'm emotionally burned out. I've been raging at my partner. There's all this emotional labor of the feminine that we're carrying. You know, we're not supposed to get angry or have feelings. And so it's been so wild to watch how many men, you know, Joe Rogan's talking about it, Bill Maher's talking about it, like all these people are talking about it. I got interviewed on Fox News last week. All these people are talking about it, but they have so much judgment about the fact that women are feeling, about the fact that women are spending money to create a safe space. It's like, would you rather have your wife raging at you or like yelling at your kids or, you know, screaming at her coworkers and losing her job? No. Where is there an appropriate place?
That was Mia Magick, and this is episode 75.
Welcome to the Brave Woman Podcast. I'm your host, Tanya Lynn, founder of Sistership Circle and author of Open Your Heart and The Art of Leading Circle. I'm the mother of 2 girls, an 8 on the Enneagram, aka the Challenger, happily married to my business partner, Brent, love connecting with nature, and have put in well over 10,000 hours circling with other women. On this podcast, we will explore how to embody the brave woman so that you can take action on your dreams and desires, unapologetically speak your truth, and live life on your own terms. Grab a seat and a cup of tea, and let's get started.
All right, sisters, welcome. We are here for the Brave Woman podcast with an incredible woman, Mia Magick, and we're going to get witchy today. That's what we're here for.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. So many of you have probably heard of Mia, seen her on Facebook and Instagram and all the places. And she has a really cool story. And I'd love for us to start there before we talk about all the amazing things that she's up to and have a conversation about healing the witch wound and owning our worth as women and owning our voices. But yeah, I remember seeing this post that you said where you put the witch's hat on and then things took off. So I'd love for you to just share about your journey and give us some context here before we dive in.
Yeah, I think that, you know, in honor of the brave woman, it was really the reason why the hat was such an iconic statement and symbol to people is because it has signified evil, darkness, bad, wrong, shameful, sin, like all of these horrible things. And to see a beautiful, eloquent, friendly, sweet woman put on a hat like that was such a juxtaposition and sort of like cognitive dissonance for so many people. And it just instantly resonated. And it made me aware that I was divinely protected because instead of getting death threats and like all the Bible verses and a lot of fear-based commentary at me, it just brought amazing people into my life. It just brought incredible connections and sisterhood and more followers and more financial abundance and more freedom and more self-acceptance. Was like, this is who I am. And people actually dig it. They like it. They're into it, as opposed to who I am is bad, wrong, shameful, all those same words that we often associate with witches. And so for me, it's been a really interesting dance. And, you know, I'm not wearing the hat today because part of what has happened for me is really seeing how can I integrate this external symbol? How can I be an embodiment of that which was outside of me, inside of me? And so the hat really did, it took on a life of its own. It did become this icon. I mean, it is already an iconic symbol, but it supported me in becoming an iconic leader in the movement to reclaim the power of womanhood, our wisdom, our witchery, our magic, our innate creative gifts, being connected to the divine through our wombs, whether physically or energetically. And it really just gave me a platform and a really safe space that I could never, you could never have imagined that that would be the thing that created safety, that this symbol that means bad and dark magic, you know, was actually the thing that allowed me to feel so safe to be myself and gave me this incredible opportunity to share magic with people and to be a very unique type of witch, like to wear the hat that signifies this, you know, the potions and the spells, and my magic is healing magic. That is my gift. And so my magic is not necessarily about casting spells, it's about getting the thing that is in your belief system or deeply ingrained in your body that has been convincing you that you're not worthy of that thing that you want to cast the spell in order to achieve or attain or create. It's about dealing with that and getting that block and that pain out of the way so that then you can fill that space with more love and trust and beauty and magic that then magnetizes whatever it is that you desire into your life. So it's been a really beautiful and wild ride to be the unique teacher that I am and to have had such an amazing symbolic way of representing wisdom and the womb and the connection to the cosmos that we all have.
Mm. Yeah, I love that it actually created the protection. And here, I mean, this is the Brave Woman podcast. It's about us being brave creates the safety.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. And so many women are so afraid to come out of the spiritual closet.
Yeah.
Right. And yet here you are as the demonstration of, yes, you can do it. And by being brave, you're going to create that safety for yourself.
It's all a mirror, right? It's all just a fractal holographic reflection. So if you create that courage, right, to say, I'm going to do this thing, even if it's not a good idea, or even if someone tells me not to, I'm going to have the courage. You're sending that signal out to the universe and saying, kind of like, I'm unfuckwithable. And that unshakability, that confidence, even the word confidence, we think that it means something so different than what it does. It means trust, or to trust in the benevolence of, comes from confidere in Latin. And so like, to be confident is to trust in the universe. It's to trust in yourself. It's to trust in your path. And that's really what I did. And people are like, oh, you're so confident. I'm like, I'm just trusting this crazy ass path that the goddess has laid before me. You know, like I'm just doing my best. But it's so much about trusting that. And when we can trust walking forward in a new or unique or bold or brave way, we lay that foundation. We literally blaze that trail to then walk upon ourselves. And it certainly worked that way for me.
Beautiful. And so now you got a book.
I do indeed.
Tell
Intuwitchin.
us about the book.
Yes. Intuwitchin just came out in January. It's been a bestseller in all of its categories. So amazing, so much fun. And it is all about learning to speak the language of the universe, all of these signs and symbols, the way that a witch hat is an iconic sign and symbol, but the way that the animals who cross our path, or the weather patterns, or the colors of someone's outfit, that everything has significance. And before the universe spoke English or Spanish or Chinese, it spoke in symbols, and it always will. It is the most primordial language. It is so far beyond any verbal expression, because animals still read the weather and the way that other creatures crawl across their paths. And so it's a really amazing exploration of the law of correspondence. Everybody knows about the law of attraction as a manifestation tool, but many people are not familiar that there are actually 12 of those universal laws, of which the law of attraction is one, and another is the law of correspondence. And that states, as above, so below, as within, so without. And so I had never seen or read, I've read a lot of books, and I've never read a book exploring the law of correspondence because there had never been one written. And for me, as much as I like the law of attraction, because I am a healer and I have focused on my own healing, I actually found that the law of correspondence was a greater manifestation tool, because if it is as without, so within, and as above, so below, then I can look at everything that I'm seeing in my reality. I can look at the macrocosm in order to deal with the microcosm and vice versa. And because that's really what healing is about. Oh, I want to manifest a partner. I need to heal the wounded masculine or feminine within myself. Oh, I want to manifest money. I need to heal the wounds of scarcity and unworthiness within myself. Oh, I want to manifest a home. I need to create safety and stability and that strong foundation within who I am. Or I can use my home to ground myself, right? And so I really dove deep into the practice within myself, within my own life, using color magic and using numerology and astrology and animals and just absolutely everything. And it changed my entire life. I manifested so much abundance. I called in my partner. I built my business. I mean, I just did absolutely everything based on the law of correspondence. And it became such an important part of my teachings and my own personal practice that then it was the basis for Intuwitchin and the book. And what has been the big difference between intuition and Intuwitchin, because witch means wise, it's really like your wisdom. That raven is going to mean something different to you if your grandma had a raven that she used to feed every day, on her porch, than it does to someone who didn't. And so that wisdom to know when the signs and symbols are exactly for us, directed to us, and are an invitation for the universe, really for us to listen more deeply and follow the guidance that it's offering us. And so that's what Intuition is all about. And it's amazing. I'm so proud of it and I love it. And I read the Audible myself for those of you that are listening people.
Beautiful. And so we have the links in the show notes. And then you could go get that book directly. It's so exciting.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love that. And I love that distinction because I don't think a lot of people are aware of that, of the difference between like the art of manifesting and then this art of correspondence. I mean, it's what we do in circle here, but to actually put words to that and to really give the steps and the how to really start to use this in your life. I mean, one of the ways that I teach when we create the rituals in circle is to find the symbol. What is the symbol that's like bringing whatever it is that you're wanting to create in this ritual into the tangible. And so I just, very, very exciting that you put this out into the world. Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so right now, like we were kind of talking about this, but what feels hot and alive as you are growing and, having the success and writing this book and all the things?
Yeah. Well, I'm into my second book and already wrote an Oracle card deck in between. So that's out next year. But what's really hot right now, like literally and figuratively, is that my rage rituals have gone super viral. And it's been, now I can actually like talk about it. It's been so wild, like, have a little moment on an Instagram story, but there's so many layers and so many facets to the rage rituals going viral. I made one video about rage rituals because I think that they're incredibly important. I have had a lot of anger in my life, whether it's at men who've mistreated me or the desecration of the planet, our environment. I grew up in the Redwood forest. I've felt empathetically. My parents said that when I was 2 years old, they took us into this beautiful forest, and then we came upon a part that had been logged, and I just immediately started sobbing, like unconsolable sobs, as a little tiny kid who like can't really understand conceptually what's happening. And so I've had a lot of rage throughout my life at the patriarchy and at all of my peers wanting to keep me small, being intimidated by me, all of the things. And I'm not the only one. And I actually, like, yes, I have trauma. Everybody has trauma, but I don't have it as bad as most people. I was not sexually abused by a parent or family member, which so many women were, or a member of the church, like people who are supposed to keep you safe. And then they abuse and molest and absolutely betray you. Women have had a rough time of it. And especially in the last several years when abusive husbands stayed home from work and children weren't at school and people have had a hard time over the last few years. And these rage rituals have caused such a stir. People are losing their shit. Everyone's commenting about the fact that women are paying thousands of dollars to go and beat sticks in the woods. It's like, no, women are paying to invest in their healing. They're going on a retreat experience where you get to live in a castle for a week in Europe with Michelin star food, surrounded by other amazing women with opulent bedrooms and 4-poster canopy beds and like thousands of acres of woodlands to roam around in. And women are choosing that kind of experience where the rage ritual is 1 hour in a week like that to heal, to change, to grow, to transform, to become bigger, better, more of who and what they are and they desire to be. And people have such, only men, of course, like I haven't seen a single woman talking shit about this experience. Obviously, women get it. They're like, oh yeah, I'm emotionally burned out. I've been raging at my partner. I have, there's all this emotional labor of the feminine that we're carrying. You know, we're not supposed to get angry or have feelings. And so it's been so wild to watch how many men, you know, Joe Rogan's talking about it, Bill Maher's talking about it, like all these people are talking about it. I got interviewed on Fox News last week. All these people are talking about it, but they have so much judgment about the fact that women are feeling, about the fact that women are spending money to create a safe space. It's like, would you rather have your wife raging at you or like yelling at your kids or, you know, screaming at her coworkers and losing her job? No. Where is there an appropriate place? Where is there an opportunity for women to go and feel and heal through that willingness to face the feelings? I'm going to create it. I'm going to give that to them. I'm going to offer it. And it's been wild to see the amount of men who are calling it psychotic or demonic or just making fun of the fact that it's something that women are spending money on. They're like, when you could go and do that for free. I'm like, okay, well, let's again consider the whole of the experience, because you definitely could not get all of that. And I'm a world-class facilitator. So it's just fascinating, I think, how our modern society is still, with all the progress that we've made, with all of the fact that someone like me and someone like you can sit here and have a conversation about courageous femininity and being a brave woman, and I can start a conversation about a witch hat. Massive progress has been made. Let's not discount that. And it's wild that we're still in 2024 judging so voraciously how women are striving to become better, to support the leadership of our planet, moving in a more harmonious, symbiotic, synergistic direction for our entire species. So that has certainly been hot and up and alive for me right now. It's been a wild, wild ride to see how much people have to say about it.
Well, we'll put that link so that you can go check out that
rage ritual video.
That video. We'll put that in the show notes. And yeah, it's I'm sometimes like, how are these old men still in charge? Like, they're just so antiquated. Like, come on, you know, like, oh yeah. So thank you for just dealing with that on the behalf of the collective here.
My pleasure, Queen. That's literally what I'm here for. I'm doing it. I'm doing my best.
Doing it.
Do you have trouble speaking your truth? Feel a constriction in your throat? This is a common sign of the witch wound, which is one of the 3 major wounds of the feminine: sister or maiden, mother, and witch or crone. Between the years 1500 and 1660, up to 80,000 suspected witches were put to death in Europe. This affects us as women today because of the intergenerational trauma that has been passed down through the generations and women's collective fear of being persecuted for speaking up and going against the status quo. If you are a spiritual woman rising up in your feminine leadership, it's imperative that you gain confidence to share your message with the world. So healing the witch wound can support you
in freeing your voice as you no longer fear being burned at the stake. We have a special recorded workshop just for you to help you release intergenerational trauma, activate your voice, and reclaim your magic. Go to sistershipcircle.com/bravewitch and you'll receive both the recording and the outline to use in your circles. You can also find this link in the show notes. And now back to our show. And you've got this retreat. Is it sold out yet?
We have a couple spots left for France. Okay. Yeah, the Redwoods is sold out because it's a little less expensive, a little more rustic experience. But the French castle, this castle is like the castle I used in Scotland was amazing. It was gorgeous, but this is like full fairy tale Cinderella palace experience and Michelin star food and just like the most beautiful and tons of different rituals. And oh my God, I have a couple of like surprise things that I'm so and just, you know, for me, having just moved through or being in the process of moving through the uncoupling process with my partner and like being deep in my own healing, like in this full personal evolution and metamorphosis as well. I'm so excited for this France retreat because the woman that I've become just in these last 2 months of being in the uncoupling and everything that I've learned and everything that I'm growing through, I've changed more in the last 2 months. I've become bigger, better, faster, stronger in the last 2 months, exponentially more than even in the last few years. And so I'm very excited for those of us who are coming to France because it is going to be the most magical experience of all time. And again, the rage ritual is one part. There's pleasure rituals in the woods and there's deep sister connection. And there's like, you know, everybody has an exorcism at one point or another throughout the process. And they're my greatest honor and pleasure to create because we get to watch women arrive as one person and leave as another one. And the amount of like partnerships, finances, new careers, like dreams that people have been holding for years that just come true as soon as we leave is really such a gift. And I've been going to a lot of retreats lately. I'm on the like, I want to heal too. And I have not experienced anything that even remotely touches the level of transformation that I'm offering. It's like, oh, we're going to journal and we're going to like, you know, and it's great. There's sweet. I love retreats in general, but I have not experienced anything that is even close to what I'm creating. And I've created it as an amalgamation of all the most impactful rituals I've ever done in my life so that I know that everyone is going to be a different person than they were when they arrived. And it's such a gift. It's such a blessing. Like, would love to have you, girl. You should come.
And we can put the link in there, you know, if anyone else is looking for it as well. So, you know, we train facilitators here at Sistership Circle, and I'm wondering, I bet some people might be curious as to what do you think are some of the pieces that really help you to become that masterful facilitator and really create that space? I'm hearing that a lot of it is the rituals. I totally get that. Yeah. What else is part of your space holding magic?
You know, I think the biggest thing is like the field of permission. So, and authenticity. So I have done, not to say like I'm done with doing my work. I'm not. Whoever is. Anyone tells you they're done with doing their work, like run, you know? So obviously I still have work to do. I still have challenges to overcome. There's other higher dreams and visions that I want to achieve and attain, but I am myself. And I am not afraid of being myself. And I know that I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay. And I feel really good about the particular flavor that I offer. I have been intense my whole life. I've been outspoken my whole life. I've been, you know, advanced my whole life. I always felt more comfortable talking to adults than to other kids. And finally, you know, in my 30s, I accepted myself and I accepted who I am. And I started actually celebrating the woman and the queen and the powerful dragon goddess that I am. And so that I would say is the number one thing. Too often, you know, even I was supposed to be in this group ceremony experience as one of the facilitators a few years ago. and there was a bunch of stuff that was filmed, and I was supposed to lead the rage ritual. And it didn't end up working out, and I didn't go, and thank goddess and, God's redirection. And I saw the rage ritual that they tried to do without me, and it was a joke, and it was awful, and it didn't work. And so I think that there's several things. One is like actually being yourself. Like, who are you really? What are the things that work for you? Don't try to do other people's things. Like, don't try to use other people's frequencies, or like, oh, well, so-and-so does this, so I'm going to try and do that. Like, do what's alive for you. Do the things that are most true and authentic to you. That's why mine is like this tantric feminine embodiment, emotional alchemy, because that's what I do. That's my practice. Lots of pleasure work, all the rage rituals, lots of nature and deep holding by Mother Earth, because that's my practice. And then the other thing is like really creating a field of safety, right? What do people need to feel safe? A lot of my rituals are done outside in nature, and that can actually be really confronting for people to not have, the walls holding them in. And so I really invite them to find a way to experience safety in connection with nature. Can I drop roots, tendrils of energy down as I'm laying here from every part of my body and ground myself into the planet, connect with the mycelial networks? Do I want to look up at the sky and allow that to be a reflection, like we're talking about in my book, of my freedom, of my liberation, of my openness? Can I allow the branches of the trees to be the temple or the sanctuary in which I am held? And there's so many other, trauma informed aspects, but the reflection that I get in my retreats from people most often is, I didn't expect you to actually be who you show up as online. It kind of seems like an act, or it's like a lot, or it's this caricature. And everyone is always like, I just am so grateful that you are who you say you are, and you actually are like this, and you're actually even more wild and free than I could have imagined. Like, I just went on this deep, insane nature adventure, which, like, I'm a hardcore nature witch, and it pushed all of my edges, like rappelling up giant walls, carrying 60-pound backpacks up like giant cliff sides. Like, it was so hard and crazy. And the leader of the trip said, when I saw your Instagram, I actually didn't want you to come. I didn't think you were going to be able to handle this. And he's like, and just so you know, you were the most impressive attendee we've ever had. And we've had people who've summited Everest and like helicopter pilots. He's like, and you were more hardcore than any of those people. And it blew my mind, because I never would have been able to like glean that. So I think that that's another piece, is like really using your strengths, really using the things that maybe aren't the total outside perception of you. Like, I sit here and I'm talking and I'm smart and I'm well-spoken. So like, you can listen to all the educational words, but you can't follow me through a mountain canyon sitting on Instagram. And honestly, you probably wouldn't be able to keep up, because like I'm barefoot, I'm running down there and I'm climbing boulders, and I'm incredibly nimble and agile. And so I think that, we also have to really play to our gifts in those spaces. And the people who are going to want to come along, who are going to want to be stretched from the edges of their comfort zone, those are going to be the people that, are your diehard fans, and also the ones that don't want to be stretched. They're going to be triggered by you, and that's okay. Like, that's also a big part of, I think, what creates a field of safety for me, is I can meet feedback. If anyone has a complaint, I'm like fully available for it. At my very first retreat, I made so many mistakes, so much crazy shit. I tell one of the stories in Intuwitchin of like how the rage rituals actually came to be. It was a big blow up. But the way that I responded to hold these women's pain or frustration at me, like blame at me, literally multiple women stood up at the end and were like, that is feminine leadership, because I sat there and I received it, and I was like, yes, I totally understand why you're upset. And here's my perspective, and like, let's find a way to come back to common ground. And so I think that those are really important pieces: doing what you love, staying in your area of expertise, being fully authentic to yourself, following your strengths, stretching your own comfort zone, and being willing to make mistakes and be wrong and receive harsh criticism or feedback, and not let it make you collapse, to continue that confidence and trusting yourself, even if someone else has a trigger or a wound. Because if you're fully authentic and you're coming from your truth and you're not coming from wounding, their trigger is their responsibility. If you're coming from wounding, their trigger is your responsibility. But if you are aligned with your service and the goddess and your truth, and someone else gets triggered, they get to deal with that. And because you're so grounded in your truth, you'll be able to support them in that. And that's a really big part of holding space, because people are going to get triggered by you
all the time. Yeah, I love that. And it's like the responsibility and accountability. And, so often we want to deflect, we want to blame someone else. And that piece of being able to receive the feedback is a huge piece of leadership that's so missing in the leadership out there in the world.
Totally.
And I feel like this is really up for us as feminine leaders to model that, because it's not being modeled out there. And that's why it's like, oh my God, Mia, yeah, thank you, because no one else is doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not
really
easy.
powerful.
It's not
It's
easy when
not.
someone comes to you and says, I'm mad at you, or you hurt my feelings. It's like, okay, well, in what way did your behavior and your response to this make you mad at yourself, so that then you're trying to get mad at me? Or in what way am I showing you a part of yourself that you're not willing to step into, or you're not willing to be yet? And so you're mad at yourself for playing small, not to gaslight anyone ever, obviously, but that again is the essence of As Above, So Below, and my book. So whenever anyone brings anything to me that I'm like, this is clearly not me, because that's not my truth, I can very easily reflect it to them so that they're not able to project it onto me. And that does take work, but that's why I love my book so much. And I love the concept of the law of correspondence, is because it's universal. It's not like, oh, one time and one situation. It's all the time in all situations. And you can always really lean back on it and count on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kind of circling back around to the uncoupling. And what I really heard in this is that this has essentially been an initiation into your next level of leadership.
Girl, I just got full body chills as you said that, because yes, this has been honestly the greatest initiation of my entire life. I've been through a lot of shit. I've done a lot of magical things. I've had a lot of miracles. I have a comfort zone that is so fucking big. And yeah, I've never experienced anything like breaking up with someone who you love and you're best friends with, and you have a huge, massive community, and you've built an incredible life with. And both of you just knowing in your hearts that it's not right, and being willing to walk away in, as amicably as possible. We had some rough weeks. There were some really rough weeks where it was not amicable. But I was just telling an astrologer friend, on the Sagittarius full moon, we're both Geminis, and on the full moon during our season, we came back together to have a conversation and recreated love again. And now it's like, okay, we can go to breakfast and we can see each other at events, and it's fine. And I love you so much, just in a different way now. But yes, it's been the biggest, most painful initiation of my whole life, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that. When we can really get the medicine from these big life events, it just makes us more resilient, more strong, like you said. And what I really hear is, and now this whole thing coming up around the rage rituals and the next level of publicity that you're getting, it's like, of course it's all happening. And just your stand for women and the work that you're doing is just, I think it's requiring that whatever this is, it's requiring this next level from you.
Girl, for real. Yeah, I think that, one of the things that I said in the post that I made about us breaking up was I can't sacrifice having it all when I'm trying to convince you all to believe in the same. Like, I want everyone to believe they can have it all. And I would never, this man he is not settling. Like, he's amazing. He's mission driven. He's kind. He's sweet. He's hilarious. Like, we were at breakfast the other day and he's like, I just don't have anyone else I can talk to about all of these things like you. Like you actually just get what I have to say and you're interested. And it was really funny for us to be like, yeah, like for 5 years we've been each other's best friend. And it is just so crazy that the next levels of what I've been wanting and hoping for, like sharing the magic with the mainstream, not needing to wear the hat, but being the spiritual fairy godmother or the witch, like spiritual fairy godmother is just a euphemism for witch. Fairy godmother, she literally like wears a pointed hat and waves a wand and like makes all your wishes come true. Like, she's a witch, but we're like, oh, fairy godmother, that's a nice term, And he's not settling. He's amazing. And it still wasn't enough for me. It wasn't everything that I wanted. It was so many of the things that I needed. It was so much patience and sweetness and fidelity and loyalty and so many good things that I deeply needed from the masculine that I had never had before. So much care, like so much tending, and it still wasn't enough. And I think that that is something, the rage rituals, all this judgment about women's feelings and money and investments, like there has never been a time or like, during the like Christian rule of the world, maybe when priestesses were the nobility and the council of emperors, a few thousand years ago, but there's never been a modern period where women can make such sovereign choices, where we can rewrite the stories and choose differently than our mothers and our grandmothers did. And that's what I have to do. I have to do that. And the same goes for him. It's been a challenging road to be with a woman who's more successful or, bigger and so out there and all the things. And like, he's a very private person and like our life is on the internet in a lot of ways. And that's not his thing. And that's okay. Like I love everything that he has been in my life, but I know what I want and it's more. And I think that's the ultimate initiation, even as I'm watching different habits and behaviors and patterns as we're breaking up, places where I will still sacrifice my time, my energy, my effort, my money, whatever it is, like to try and create more love or to try and like reconnect or to try and reach something somewhere that like is not the dynamic anymore. And that's my trauma. Like, that's my old shit. And I was always the one as a kid who was like being taken advantage of, oh, the parties are at my house, or my car gets wrecked, or she buys the alcohol or the whatever for everybody. And I always got taken advantage of. And I have seen the ways where like, even with a loving, wonderful person who would never take advantage of anyone in any way, is like the most respectful man, where I have behaved in ways that perpetuate my feeling of being taken advantage of, even though he's not even asking me to do those things. And so it's just been this really illuminating time. And I've gotten to see, all of my old shit and the massive mistakes that I've made, both just in abandoning and rejecting myself and in terms of our relational dynamic. And it's like, you can't unsee them. You can't unknow them. You can't just cover your eyes and pretend like, oh, look, I don't know, like that's not happening. And I think that partnership, it showed me that, but the ending of the partnership has shown me so much more than I could have ever imagined and really been motivating. You know, we're both super motivated to do the things that we weren't able to do when we were trauma bonding and responding to each other's wound matching in partnership. And so, and we're both aware of that, you know, and can talk about it and have conversations with each other about like, yeah, wow, this was my trauma doing this, and I'm sorry about that, and I wish I'd behaved differently here. And so it's, yeah, and the big thing that broke us was we lost our two cats. So we lost my cat in October, or in November, and I was grieving so hard that like I was just beside myself, and he didn't know what to do. And that was like the first big break for me. And then a few months later, we lost his cat, and it was just like, wow, the universe, again, this symbolic communication. Then our sauna burned down. Like literally we were in the sauna the night before together, just like peacefully meditating and talking about logistics and whatever. And then the next day I got into the sauna and out and left it on for him, and it literally torched itself. So the universe's communication has been incredibly clear about the end of this partnership, but it has certainly, it's given me the most eye-opening information that I've never had so much clarity and like a very specific, explicit roadmap to my own healing as I have through this uncoupling process.
Wow. You know, so many times we get these signs and these symbols and we ignore them. And it's like we want to put our head in the sand. And
Yeah.
So it's just incredible for you to be modeling, like really standing for your truth, really doing the hard thing.
Yeah.
And so much opening up as a result of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And really, like, as women, we just, like you said, it wasn't settling for him, but like how we can have it all. We really can have it all. We can have it could be more. And how often we will not truly allow ourselves to have that bigger thing or the better thing, or so
Yeah, we're told like, oh no, it's just the grass is always greener. Just accept what you have. Just be happy, you know, just deal with it. And I was talking to one of my dear guy friends the other day, and I was like, yeah, my biggest fear has been I'll never find someone else who will tolerate me. You know, I'm so big, I'm so this, I'm so successful, I'm so fucking strong-willed, I'm so outspoken, blah, 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 blah. And he looks at me and he goes, what the fuck, Mia? I hope you don't. I hope you never find someone who tolerates you. He's like, girl, that's the craziest shit you've ever said to me. And when I first met this man, he literally said, he was like, he came to our housewarming party and he met me for a handful of minutes, but I was like moving antlers. I have this big set of elk antlers. I was like just doing stuff. At the end of the party, he comes over to me and he's like, yo, Mia, you're a G. And I was like, what? He's like, no, for real. Like, you're a G. Like, whoa, I see you. You're next level. You're amazing. And I was like, thank you. I know. And he's like, no, I know you know. But like, whoa, damn, you're a G. And I was like, cool. And we became really good friends. And it was such an important reflection from him. How could you ever say that someone would just tolerate you? And so that is also like for women, I think as we get more successful, as we spiritually evolve, as we, whatever it is, expand into our pleasure, our gifts in any way, we have this story that we will be too much or that we are inherently not enough. And so that there is like this burden of our bigness that we would put onto someone, or that we'll need to like hang on to the coattails of someone else because of our smallness. And I don't want to do either of those things. And of course, now like been doing all my therapy and EMDR and like somatic body work and cranial sacral and like absolutely everything. She's on all the healing modalities, but I don't believe that anymore. I know wholeheartedly that the man who is coming for me is going to be fucking obsessed with my level of power, is going to be like, damn, I've been looking for a woman like you my whole life, someone who can keep up with me, you know? And I'm like, yes, like, let's fucking go. And so I think that that's why I had to do this. That's what the initiation was about, is, hey, if you're going to be leading women into the life of their dreams, into their queendom, you know, that's what the retreat is called, Claim Your Queendom. Even though you are living a queendom, you are living more than most people's wildest dreams. It's not your wildest dreams anymore because you've fulfilled so many of the things that you wanted. What's next? What's bigger? What's bolder? What's braver? And yeah, choosing that with a man who has totally changed my life and taught me to trust the masculine in a way that I never thought I could, with the kind of father that I had and the kind of relationships that I've had that have emulated him. It was not an easy choice, but you know, luckily it was a mutually agreed upon. We were both very clear that it was supposed to happen. And so that was really a blessing. But I think honestly, it's easier to do the like, fuck you, I hate you, I never want to talk to you again kind of breakup, because then there's no wavering. There's no, oh, I wish we could have done better and we could have made this different. And we both feel that way. You know, we both know that we've made mistakes, and that we're being given a really beautiful kind of nest to launch out of from God to really soar to new heights. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm taking that one away, that reframe from someone's tolerating me
Yeah.
to, yeah, like I'm just fully owning our power as women. Ah, so good.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good place for us to land. Is there
Yeah.
anything else that like is wanting to be said?
I think I just loved your question around being a masterful facilitator. And I think as a brave woman, the bravest thing we can do is be ourselves. The bravest thing we can do is embark on our healing. The bravest thing we can do is say, okay, here's these wounds from my father or my mother, right? Like, as women, all people are going to have some kind of caregiver wound. You're going to have some daddy issues or some mommy issues. And, you know, mine are more from my dad, but I know a ton of women who had really challenging relationships with their mom because of their bodies or because of whatever it is, being abused by a man, however it goes. And that is what I would say to women. Find the thing that you want to invest in. Find the thing, the coach, the healer, the person that inspires you, that you feel like you can trust to lead you into that next version of yourself. And we spoke briefly about, you know, women having judgment around charging for spiritual gifts and work. There's no greater investment. There's nothing better you can spend your money on. Nothing. Every single dime that I had when I was so broke, literally like the bare minimum of my basic needs. And I would rather spend my last dollars and pray that, you know, the toast in my kitchen would sustain me. I would rather spend my last dollars on some form of personal development, on something that made me better, on something that helped me grow, that taught me, that supported my walk forward. And I feel so good about charging what I do and being abundant, because I know that the work that I'm doing is creating a positive impact. And we support, you know, horrible companies like Shein and H&M, like damaging the planet, employing child slave labor, you know, all this destruction of resource. We support all of these horribly negative things generating billions and trillions of dollars in the world. But when a woman is authentically herself and is brave enough to share her message and her medicine and the things that have supported her, we have this huge problem with that financial exchange, with that as an entrepreneurial pursuit. And I would just say to all the brave women out there, if you want to be in service, if you want to live on your mission, like, find out who you truly are and heal all the things that have been standing in your way. Heal all the old limiting beliefs from your dad or your teacher or your preacher that told you you couldn't or shouldn't. And then be willing to invest in yourself. Find those people, say yes to those things, because that money that I spent on myself, that I invested in retreats and courses and certifications and programs and all of the things, that money is what has allowed me to be living my dreams today. And that money is what has generated so much more money coming into my life, is because I was always willing to keep it flowing in the direction of that which I valued most. And so that's what has allowed me to be brave and bravely lead other women and be, the best-selling author and professional witch and spiritual counselor to stars and CEOs that I'm able to be. And it's so worth it, but it does take a lot of courage.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mia. This was amazing. Keep doing your incredible witchy magic out there in the world, inspiring more women and men. And thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today.
Thank you so much, Queen. Have a beautiful day.
You just listened to this show. I'd love for you to leave the Brave Woman podcast an honest review. Reviews help podcasts like this one grow, making it more possible for me to devote my time, energy, and money to its production. If you take a screenshot of your review and email it to support@sistershipcircle.com, we'll send you one of our archetype activations as a thank you gift. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it.
Up next, Reiki, sound healing, emotion codes. There are so many healing modalities to choose from. What's best? Well, it depends on your healer archetype. In the next episode, my powerful healer priestess sisters, Ina and Janet, will provide you with the clarity you need so that you can step into your magic.